Hey, y'all, welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, and STL Sports Central presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Getting ready for the weekend. Hope you have a great weekend. We're going to talk some sports and such here as we approach the weekend. Bernie Miklasz will join us at the bottom of the hour, and then we're going to have to get off a little earlier than usual simply because I have a tea time.
I did not know that we were doing that.
Yeah, I just told you.
I can't help but laugh by the mustard you put on that y'all for a show that's going to include two people from St. Louis and somebody who originally born in Baltimore.
From Baltimore, yeah.
You put a lot of mustard in that y'all for exactly zero Southern charm on this show.
That was the name of Adam Wainwright's first album was Hey
True,
Y'all.
That's a good point.
So I'm just a little homage to Wayno. So the Cardinals are going to get ready to take on the Padres tonight. Two teams that had really similar trade deadlines, and the Cardinals they got themselves some A-ball performers, which is what they're wont to do when they're making deals at the deadline. There's a lot of reasons for that, but I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that all of these guys, when they're pitching or playing in A-ball, for the most part, I would say 95% of the time, they are lottery tickets. You don't know. For example, even the guy that
every time
the A's got, the number 3 prospect in all of baseball that the A's got from the Padres for Mason Miller, he is an unknown. You don't know if he's going to succeed or not at a high level. He might wind up being great, but he might not either. And the Cardinals guys, even though some people think that Mo got fleeced in the trade with the Mets, I think Keith Law might have said that. I'm not ready to go there yet either, because what the Cardinals give up, they gave up 2 months of 3 guys in a bullpen that was not going to win anyway. So what did they really give up? It might wind up being basically a nothing for nothing trade.
Yeah, you have to make the move because it's the most sensible move in the moment. He's an expiring contract, all the things we've been talking about for the last month or so. But you're right. You never know what's actually going to happen. You hope that, we call them darts for a reason. You hope you hit the board. You hope you hit the board. You hope it's, something of actual consequence.
Now, one thing that happened yesterday was kind of sad. I was just talking to Steve Savard a couple of minutes ago about the fact that we're just such a soft media. And we were soft on Mo yesterday as he was walking out the door after his last trade deadline. But we've been soft on Mo since 2007.
So why were we going to change?
Why would we change now? We are a soft media in St. Louis. We are not Philadelphia. We are not Boston. We are not New York, where they get people fired.
We'll have some thoughts, though. I feel like I'll have some thoughts at some point, at least, because I feel the fans a little bit in some of their thoughts during yesterday's one move deadline day. That is
the Cardinals one move.
Yes,
yeah, but that was you had the expiring contract. They didn't, as John Mozeliak said, and do you have the audio?
Yes,
talking about the left-handed hitters.
Yes, this was and very studiously posted, because I was able to get the audio from a lot of places, but not a lot of people posting the video of Mr. John Mozeliak. So our good friend Jacob Sarasimo, always studious getting the video up for us. So this is actually Jacob was able to post the video of it. We have some of the
from First Alert 4, by the way.
From First Alert 4, of course. So here was John Mozeliak yesterday in the post-deadline presser, breaking down the how people came with the left-handed bats and their thought process behind it.
It hit a lot on our left-handed hitters. But none of the types of offers we were getting for those players were compelling for us to do it. So to say we went into this solely with just the focus of those 3 expiring contracts is not necessarily accurate, but we were not motivated to move players that we had under control unless we were, to put it mildly, blown away, and we just weren't.
And that's his answer. I think a lot of people are just having an issue kind of squaring the circle on them needing to be blown away for like a Lars Nootbaar.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're the ones that set the value on their players, right? And they're the ones that have the right. For example, you own a house and you've got it on the market for $150,000, and somebody comes in and says, yeah, I'll give you $90,000. You say, no, I want $150,000 for the house. Should you just give it away not give it away, but sell it for 90 because that's what somebody offered you? No, I think that you should accept what you think the true value of your house is. When you have an athlete and you have placed a certain value on him. And by the way, the first organization to place values on players in an analytic sense was when the Cardinals hired Jeffrey Luno, and Bill DeWitt, the Jr., said, hey, I want you to be able to do this. I want you to be able to come up with numbers, kind of like what Jimmy Johnson does in football, where I can rate a player. And I don't know why the Cardinals or any team should trade players for less than what they believe the value is.
Yeah.
Give me the reasoning for that.
They shouldn't. And I think part of the thing you have to, because we just got a chat there and I threw up the thing from Chewy. You don't need a big offer for Newt, though. But at the same time, you have to look at it in the vacuum of, if you're the guy with the asset, do you want to sell your asset for A, at a lower point than his value has been in the past, or B, for what you perceive as below what his value is? Like, we think it's fine because our job isn't relying on the fact of how we value these players. And then maybe your argument can be, and the argument shouldn't be that, well, he doesn't have to worry about how he values these players. He's on the way out. Clearly their thought process was about the future. He said exactly to that point that part of the thought process was about the future. In fact, the kind of the two sides they were going at, he answered. He says, we're still planning on competing this year. Obviously, we have a lot of baseball games to play. We expect to try to win as many as possible. Clearly, we did change the look of the bullpen. Now we'll see some guys up from AAA. And then he said, it's hard for me to speak on 26 other than to say that the goal of this trading deadline period was about the future. And I don't think it's necessarily about the immediate future. It's about the long-term view of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, I could understand some people who think that holding on to a Lars Nootbaar because his value is low doesn't equate to thinking about the long-term future of the Cardinals. I can understand maybe pointing out that lack of consistency. That's a fair criticism, I think.
The thing is, we don't know how the Cardinals value Nootbaar because we have a tendency just to look at statistics, and especially, I know a lot of you go deep and you're on Baseball Savant every day, and that's good. That's a good thing. But the Baseball Savant numbers that a lot of teams pay attention to, the Cardinals clearly pay attention to, are pretty good for Lars Nootbaar. And maybe the Cardinals still think, and by the way, I would have traded him for the right price too. I would have had to get a pitcher out of it. But the Cardinals have always valued him very highly. When they were trying to get Sean Murphy from Oakland, the A's wanted Lars Nootbaar, and the Cardinals wouldn't give him up. And that's how the Cardinals wound up with Wilson Contreras. So their value of Nootbaar obviously is different than many of ours. Tovarox, am I weird for being kind of excited about the future of this club? It's nice they finally have a direction. The one concern I have, and I think you know what my concern is, Matthew, is where is the starting pitching going to come from? Because I think that's how you get to the playoffs. As we know, and as Major League Baseball teams showed you again over the last 2 days, once you make the playoffs, it's all about the bullpen. But you need depth of starting pitching to be good enough over 162 games to get a playoff spot. And I don't think the Cardinals have that now or will have that in their organization unless they bring some people in to start 2026.
Yeah, and John Mozeliak in that interview also talked about how one of their goals was to try to get more starting pitching, but it wasn't there. And so I think we can just, you might not like the answer, but clearly they were going to try to move those left-handed bats if it got them starting pitching.
Yeah.
That they could be useful, whether or not it was the short term or the long term. And clearly that's not what was offered to them, or I feel like they would have pulled the trigger. And we'll never know what the deals were. We'll never know, based on in the moment if they were overvaluing their prospects. But that has been something they've been criticized of in the past.
Should be able to swap an MLB starter for Nootbaar. I would hope so. Even a back of the rotation guy. And I know that a lot of people don't like Miles Miklasz because of the roller coaster tendencies of him. And he's a guy that just at the end of the season, you have to say, okay, did he give us chances to win? And this year, about half of the time, he's given you a chance to win. I don't think you should ever think of Miles Miklasz as an all-star anymore, as an 18-4 pitcher anymore. Certainly don't think of him as a star. If you think of him as a back of the rotation guy, and by the way, this is not an advocation of bringing him back by any stretch.
His fastball's up 3 miles per hour.
Oh, there you go. But I'm
an insane tweet.
Yeah. But I am not, I'm not in favor of bringing him back, but I will say, let's see if we got some spam. We do.
No, it's spam.
Do you want spam? After you do.
I don't know. We got a lot of listeners
Okay,
today.
let's do it. Let's
All right.
try it. Okay, there might be new people.
Wasn't a push for it.
Hello.
Push against it.
You there?
See, it's you know what? Hang up.
Yeah.
We had a chatter who pointed out that these are
they're scam.
No, they're probing calls. They want you to pick up because now they're going to put you on a list that you pick up. So they're going to keep calling you.
And I'm going to keep telling them when they tell me that they're around. Are you there?
Are you a robot?
Yeah.
Are you a clanker?
So anyway, here's the way. If you're getting these calls from people that say the new Trump administration has given you a new opportunity to get better health care. So what I do is I do a lot of fun things. But the one I've been doing lately is when I get to a real person and it's like,
you're super sweet, right?
Hello, this is David Wilson. How can I help you?
Let's not do accent stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying what they say. So they give me their spiel because I like to waste their time a little bit. And then I say, now, does this cover my severe ED? And they hang up every time, Matthew, every time. Or I tell them when they ask you what your age is and you tell them you're 102.
Joe Klaus responding to some of the people in the chat.
You had no game this week for Joe Klaus. So he's going to, I guess you get Nashville next weekend, but thanks, Joe.
You know what? I wish I had something to give you for knowing St. Louis City's schedule well enough to know that they're off this weekend and playing Nashville next weekend. How about look at you? Knowing City's schedule off the top of his head. God, if this guy's not mega mind, you guys, Joe Klaus, you can't say he overvalued them. You don't know what the offer was. That's a very crucial piece of perspective as we yell and get mad about things.
By the way, I was going to tell y'all, sorry about that. I won't do that anymore.
Unbelievable.
That this year in the games that Miles Miklasz has started for the Cardinals, he started 21. They're 10 and 11. And so it is what it is, but I think there's a perception out there that in the 21 starts, people might guess that he has, let's see, how many wins does he have? He's 5. Does he have 5? 6 wins. They might think that he's 6-15, that the team is 6-15 in his starts. But no, that's not the case. Kind of weird. Anyway, we do appreciate you chatting. And let's see. Joe Klaus, you're welcome. I'll play my best. We're probably losing though. Okay.
Oh,
thanks, Joe.
IROX11, trading guys with the control during the trade deadline for market value just isn't a great move because your trade partners are a lot more limited.
They are. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Well, as soon as the Astros helped, pilfer the Twins, which I imagine was kind of like a robbery where somebody's already robbed somebody and kicked them in the face a couple times, and you come along and find a way to steal their housing deed. 9 guys, Jesus Lord
from
Almighty.
Monday through Thursday, traded 9 players off their 26-man roster. And our buddy Eric Cleveland asks, Randy, would you have been okay if the Cardinals did what the Twins did, tear down to the studs? No, absolutely not. The Cardinals won 83 games last year, and I really do think, despite the fact that they're only 500 right now, I think they're actually closer to being good than they are to being bad. So I am not a big fan of tearing down to the studs, and I think it's incredibly stupid in 2025. It used to be back in the day that you could tear down to the studs, win 50 or 60 games for 4 straight years and get a bunch of draft picks. The draft picks aren't there for you anymore. You cannot get a top 10 draft pick in back-to-back years. So that's a stupid way to go about it. You aren't getting, and so Minnesota, I think, was kind of like when Bill Laurie sold the Blues and got rid of Pronger and everybody. I think that they're trying to set that franchise up for sale, and that's why they got rid of the players that were making any money or that had a chance to make any money. But no, I would not be an advocate of the Cardinals tearing down. And by the way, the Cardinals, they're drawing like they've already torn it down to the studs. I don't know if the attendance could be any worse.
Twins fans are pissed, by the way.
They should be.
And they're rightfully, they should be pissed. But it is interesting to me because the ownership factor is undoubtedly a huge factor of it. But it is interesting to me, Randy, that they won their division with 87 wins.
Mm-hmm.
They then finished 4th in their division with 82 wins. And then when they clearly weren't going to be a winning team this year, they said, that's it, tear it all down. And I think even just taking away the ownership factor, I know it's a huge factor. It's interesting to me how quickly a team said, we won our division when it was weak. We won more than 500 again in a weak division, and then we're not competing as much. We're not a playoff team. We're not a World Series contender, even with this roster we have now. Completely tear it down to its studs. I think it's interesting how quickly they decided that, because you're seeing more and more teams are deciding there is no middle ground. We're either a championship contender or not. And you saw the reaction to a fan base when they made that decision.
And they weirdly kept Joe Ryan, and I guess they didn't get an offer that they thought was fair for him. And they traded 3 relief pitchers with control. They traded Jax. They traded the Duran. Joanne Duran.
Joanne Duran.
Yeah. So they traded people with control. That was weird. And then I get moving Correa because Correa is in a decline right now, but he was your only star that plays all the time. At least he posts. Buxton is a nice player when he plays, but he doesn't play very often. So just kind of a weird day on the part of the Twins.
Yeah,
and I would not advocate for that.
Paying the Astros to take Correa also is just insane in a lot of ways. When you're paying a lot of the contract as well, it's just it's all bad. I would have hated to see that, and so I'm not saying you can't tear down a little bit. You couldn't have traded more. There's no doubt there. I just do think it was a good example of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Lateralus, with $100 million investment by DeWitt and some savvy moves this offseason, the Cardinals could contend next year and have a rebuilt farm system. I don't think it'd take $100 million investment, to be honest with you. I think you can cut that in half, make it a $50 million investment, and have a pretty good chance, because I honestly don't think that you need to go out and get position players. I think if you would make a $50 million investment in 2 frontline starting pitchers, I think you'd be in really good shape. I'm going to roll the dice with this bullpen because I think there are enough good arms that you can find a closer out of that group. I think that, and just bench Arenado, right? Or find a place for him to go and not be here. But get your offense going, and I think there is a really good chance your defense is already there. So I think if you get 2 front of the rotation starters, and I know that they don't want to make that $50 million investment, I think you could be pretty darn good next year. I'm with you there, Lateralus.
Yeah, I mean, if you're and honestly, it wouldn't even be a $50 million investment to me. It just has to be a $50 million reinvestment. It just has to be not dropping the payroll from this year, because if they shed 40 if they shed 40 million this year, spend 12 of that on the Brendan Donovan extension, and then, or 12 to 15 of that on the Brendan Donovan extension, and then reinvest the other 25 million back into a starting pitcher.
And how much does Gray go up? He goes up 10, right?
He goes up 10.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
For me, it's just what's coming off the books this year. Just reinvest it. Don't let the payroll drop, or maybe add 5 million to the payroll to equate for the fact that Sonny Gray's going up a few million. And again, that's 15 million for Donnie, 25 million for another starting pitcher.
And the operative part of that that chat from Lateralus is this: with $100 million investment by DeWitt, it's not by the Cardinals, it's not by somebody else, it has to be an investment of his own money, because his franchise is dropping in revenue every year. So they aren't going to make more this year than they made last year. They didn't make more last year than they made the year before that, because their attendance is going down and the TV situation exists as it does. So if I were in charge and I had multi-billions of dollars, I'd do that. Sure.
What if you had other businesses and overall in your life, your entire mindset has been about not seeing red?
Mm-hmm.
And then would you still what's
he going to be, 83 years old?
He is. I'm sure he does want to see a winning product. That's true. It's just, it always sounds really easy to say spend more money from the personal side of the ownership.
It's not hard.
It's not hard, but is it realistic? That's all I'm asking.
By the way, Mr. DeWitt is at the end of this month, August 31st, he's going to be 84. So I guess the question is, for him, were 06 and 11 sufficient, or does he want one more?
I know Ollie wants to beat some people up. Ollie wants to be wants to beat the crap out of these teams. He doesn't want to just keep slinking by. Joe Buck disagrees a little bit. He says they still need a couple bats. Here's my thing: if you're gonna buy bats, you're going to have to start moving people. And apparently they don't think they're going to get the value for the people to move them or bite the bullets on these spots. So I don't know. Are they okay with just all these players becoming bench players? Because to get bats, where are you putting them?
Okay, so you have no choice if you're going to be good, but to have Walker work out. But let's assume Herrera is your left fielder and that what he showed you, his skill set is real. Now, is he going to hit 350? No, but he's more than a competent offensive player. You need Victor Scott II to show you what he showed in the first part of the season rather than the second part. He's got to adjust to their adjustments. Wynn and Donovan are going to be fine offensively. Pages is what he is offensively. Contreras is going to be fine offensively. So that gives me right field and third base where I have to make Gorman and or Sajaci and or Weatherholt work, and right field where I have to make either Walker and or Burleson and or Weatherholt work. And then one of those guys fits in as your designated hitter as well. I think that you can, if you play the game the way it should be played, I think you can score enough runs with, again, 2 frontline starters and a decent bullpen. I think you can score enough. And it might take a different approach. I mean, let's take a look at this, Matthew. Let's take a look at what the Milwaukee Brewers are right now. And you tell me who the great players right now, the position players that you say, man, that's a superstar player at the moment. Who are those guys for the Milwaukee Brewers who have the best record in baseball? A lot of people think are the best team in baseball.
Well, so, they have a player who's won MVP and 2 guys who have gotten top 10 MVP voting in their career. And,
so let's take a look at that. Okay, right. I think that's worth it. Because the Cardinals have a guy that has finished in the top 5 in MVP voting, 4 times?
In Arenado?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what they've done in the past, I don't think really applies to what's going on
That's fair.
this year.
They actually traded one of those guys away. So I think they only have 1 guy who's finished top 25 or 2 guys who have finished top 10 in MVP voting, which is Contreras and Christian Yelich. They had Willie Adames, but he's out a Giant.
Right. So who is Sal Frelick, right? He's 756 OPS.
Jackson
really
Chourio.
Nice player, but who knew, right? Who is this guy Collins?
Isaac Collins.
Who is Isaac Collins?
He's their OPS plus leader.
76 OPS, right? 776. We know William Contreras is a stud, but his OPS is just over 700 now, 716, right? Yelich, 440 slug, having a pretty good year, but still, he's not an 8. He wasn't when he was winning MVPs. Was a 900 OPS guy. Now he's an 800 OPS guy, right? 470, 770 OPS guy. Andrew Vaughn, who had been sent down by the White Sox. Andrew Vaughn had been sent down by the White Sox. He's got a 731 slug for them. He's having an unbelievable year. Caleb Durbin, Wash U kid, that they brought up during the season to play third base. And he's got 700 OPS. Bryce Terang.
I think people
who are the superstars right now? Who are the superstar? And by the way, Chourio is hurt, but I'll give you Chourio. But who that's my point, is the Cardinals don't have any superstars, right? But the Brewers don't either.
The Cubs have superstars.
Kyle Tucker's a superstar. I would say that Ian Happ, because part of the reason is he's a Cub, but he's had some really good years. He's been a really good player for a long time. So I would go with Happ as a superstar. Crow Armstrong has become a star player. Yeah, they're a little bit.
Dodgers and Phillies.
Dodgers are loaded. Phillies are loaded. Yep.
Yankees
are loaded.
Padres
have a lot of good players.
I think this has kind of been where we've been at this entire year, which is, yes, the Cardinals can win with the roster build they have if everybody works out. But I think the problem that fans have is that the best case scenario is still to kind of be the anomalous team in the running, which is everybody else in the NL that we just mentioned that's competing has those stars. And yeah, you're right. There is a team like the Brewers, and the Cardinals in the past have been that team before. And we've seen other teams that have been better than, more of a collection. The sum is better than the collection of the parts, whatever the phrases that I'm screwing up right now. And I think people's issue is kind of going off that Ali Marmol quote, they don't want to just be the team with a bunch of solid guys who finally hit their stride one year. They want to be a team with a roster that consistently churns out talent. Well, and that's where I think the mental block is right now with Cardinals fans in accepting a new era of Cardinals baseball.
Well, I think we better get used to the fact that the Cardinals are not going to spend $700 million on players. They're not going to be handing out those contracts. True. They aren't going to be handing out 10-year contracts either. It's just not in their DNA. They're going to have to do it more like Milwaukee does, more like Tampa Bay has done in the past. I'm not even going to go with I just don't see. I can tell you definitively that the Cardinals are not going to put together a team with a $280 or $300 million payroll. It's just not going to happen.
We're getting some comments here. Michael Thomas, and the Brewers haven't had any success in the playoffs either.
No, the Brewers haven't been to the World Series since 1982. But this year they have a real, that's what I was focusing on is this year, because I think that's what people tend to cling to. This year they're a really good team, and one of the things they have is a really good manager and really good coaches, and that helps too, because those players are playing really good ball for Pat Murphy. Guys, we want you to know about Fenton Bar and Grill. Great place to go this weekend. They have fantastic music on Friday and Saturday nights. And with the weather the way it's going to be, man, what a great night to get to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Try some of the trash wings. Greatest trash wings that you will ever have are at the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton, just a couple of minutes away from the soccer park in Fenton. And even if you're going to see music, pick up some of those wings or have one of their great sandwiches, a great Reuben sandwich. Doesn't a Reuben sandwich sound great on a beautiful Friday like this in St. Louis? And of course, you can always go in and after golf today, check out their happy hour between 2 and 5 p.m. and get some of those mini tacos for $6 or get some of those spicy cheese curds. They have a great menu for happy hour, and they have a great beer selection and great people. You're going to be taken care of by my buddy Chuck, who is the maitre d' of the year. He'll be there in the late afternoon. And of course, with music this weekend, you'll be able to say hi to Chuck and tell him Randy sent you. But say hi to Megan and say hi to Jamie and say hi to the whole gang over there. Candy will probably be there today. I don't know if Casey, but the whole crew is just wonderful, and they'll take care of you. And you can go there and watch sports this weekend too. Great place to watch sports. You're going to be talking sports with people at the Fenton Bar and Grill, home of the best trash wings, 2 minutes away from the soccer park on Rudder Road in Fenton. And when you go, tell them Randy sent you at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Bernie Miklasz is going to join us momentarily.
More around 10:45.
Oh, okay. Hope that his internet is working today.
I think he's putting up a video right now, which is why it's going to be more around 10:45. So we can get to a couple more of the chats here, because the chat, as usual, very active today. Jim Young comes in on Facebook, says, "You guys are great. I've missed you. Glad I found you here. Randy, love your knowledge."
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. MT2330, counting down the days till we no longer have to deal with Mo. Good riddance. And I don't think Mo has anything left to do. I think you are as good as done with Mo if you want to be, because the trade deadline is passed. There are no more transactions for him to make. Now, I guess he can come down with the analytics crew and tell the manager what to do if he wanted to do that. But my sense is that Mo pretty much did his job. His job is over after yesterday, and you don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, that kind of makes it nice, doesn't it? Mark Williams, they didn't help the 40-man logjam a bit, did they? They didn't help it, but they didn't exacerbate it either, which is, that's enough. I think that's not nothing.
Yeah. Ellipsis 150. Randy, what's the secret to a good carrot cake?
Ooh,
let me tell you something. Go. Okay. Number one, if you just go to, I should just put the recipe on the interwebs. I think I might have it on the interweb somewhere, but there's 2 secrets for me. And I know a lot of carrot cake recipes call for a lot of raisins and a lot of walnuts. And sometimes, because I know that people have nut allergies, I won't put any walnuts in. But when I make my carrot cake, like if it calls for a cup of walnuts and a cup of raisins, I'll do like a 1/4 cup of walnuts and a 1/4 cup of raisins. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, enhances the flavor of the pineapple that's in there, of the carrots that are in there, and everything else. So I think that's the big thing for me is, and then my particular carrot cake, if you have a Traeger, and we'll talk to Bernie about this later, but I think even if you have a big green egg, use your smoker, use pecan pellets and smoke and make it in there. That's really the difference maker for mine.
Is the smoking aspect of it?
I think so.
It really had that flavor, doesn't it?
It's flavorful. Yeah,
man. We're having a little argument. Samuel House says no raisins. Fairfax 7062 says yes, raisins.
So for me, the raisins are more of a texture thing.
Okay.
But I just I can live without them. So that's and I get it if you do like them, and that's why I limit them. I go from a cup like to a quart. The recipe calls for a cup. I go with a quarter cup.
Interesting.
I love a good carrot cake, and you know who has good carrot cake is McAllister's Deli.
Oh yeah,
kind of an under the radar carrot cake. If you ever get to Bristol Seafood up in Creve Coeur on Olive, they have a spectacular carrot cake. You know who used to have great carrot cake? And I don't know, I haven't been there a long time, but Sam's. I thought that was the one thing that made Sam's great was their carrot cake. So if you've been to Sam's lately and they still have the carrot cake, just chat in.
Wow, Rand, I never thought I'd hear you tell people to go to Sam's.
I know I said if you go.
Oh, okay.
Just tell me.
Any money. This is no real consequence. I just love little things like this. Randy, I have a good question.
Okay.
The Cardinals have 0 grand slams this season. Have they ever won a whole season without one? I'm sure they probably have, but I'm reading this question only because this is a perfect like random sports thing that like Randy would remember if like, I remember in 1997 they went without it or something like that.
No, they didn't in 1997. McGuire.
Well, certainly not. But
McGuire hit one on opening day in 98, by the way.
Okay.
I don't recall one. Somebody hit an inside the park grand slam many years ago for the Cardinals. Yeah, I don't recall a year where they did not have a grand slam.
Somebody hit an inside the park grand slam? Somebody hit an inside the park grand slam for the Cardinals?
Yeah, who was it?
I don't remember this at all.
It was a long time ago.
Inside the park home runs. How rare is an inside the park grand slam? I'm going to the baseball Reddit to try to find out if I can find this day.
Inside the park grand slam is a very rare occurrence.
Do you remember what team this was against? Even Wilner Abreu?
Oh, brought into that organization by one Chaim Bloom.
Oh, okay. Well, it all comes back to Chaim Bloom, apparently.
Yeah, it does.
I really want to find this one out. All right. Random stat chat taken and finished.
Here you go. Terry Pendleton.
Terry Pendleton. Okay. That's
1985.
That's fun. I like that.
Let's see.
That's actually insane.
It was TP hit his on June 9th, 1985.
Samuel House said you listed his favorite 3 places to get carrot cake.
What are they?
I think you said
those 3.
Yeah, those 3 players.
How about that? Pretty cool, huh?
Lipsy's 150 says they did not hit a home run in 1994.
Yeah, but that was
grand slam in 1994.
Yeah,
strike shortened season.
Yeah. They actually, you know what? The August 12th was the last day of that season. So, that one doesn't really. That was a pretty bad team too. So they may not have hit one all season if they would have played another month and a half, but they missed the last month and a half, unfortunately.
Well, we mentioned that. I do want to say Lynn Worthy had an interesting piece in the SEL today.
By the way, he was a member of Showtime. He was really good. Magic would feed him, and he'd get the dunk and stuff.
That was James Worthy.
Oh, okay.
This is Lynn Worthy.
Okay.
Also a pretty sweet layup package, I've been told. But he's a writer for the Post-Dispatch. And he opened up his line with something he self-acknowledged was a little bit smart alecky, which was kind of a line about the Cardinals preparing for 2028. Does it feel like the 2027 lack of season is becoming inevitable in your mind?
Yes. And I think and you'll hate hearing this.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the problems that baseball has right now is that 2 CBAs ago, the CBA that was reached, I think it was during the 2011 World Series, Bill DeWitt negotiated that deal. And he's gotten out of that because it was so contentious and he just didn't like dealing with the union anymore. So he wasn't involved in the last contract that the last negotiation that took place. And I think not having Bill DeWitt be part of the negotiating process and having like the Colorado guy is the guy that's leading the negotiations for the owners, which Monfort, Dick Monfort, horrible. And then you've got a guy that in Manfred, he's a hard ass. He got his job as the commissioner of baseball because he was their lead labor negotiator. And so I don't think that you have people that necessarily are thinking about the future of the sport. They're thinking about winning a business battle. And I think on both sides, because we know that the union heads, they don't care at all about the game. All they care about is making sure that their players make millions and millions of dollars. They don't care about the future of the sport or what the fans think. So I think that both sides, ownership and players, would do well to get people in charge and negotiating who actually care about the sport and the future of the sport.
And to Randy's point, just a couple days ago, or it might have been yesterday when we posted it, one of our podcasts right here on STL Sports Central is serving it up. And that's Jimmy the Cat Hayes, Matt Holliday, Lance Lynn, and Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson wasn't on this latest episode, but Lance Lynn was, and he said now he knows that Matt Holliday can't make any choice comments because he's got his sons to worry about, and
he's a Boris client.
But Lance Lynn can make comments about Rob Manfred. So Lance Lynn's comments were saying that he's never seen the union so united by the hatred of Rob Manfred. He goes, the union was not this united when Bud Selig was the commissioner, because not everyone hated him like they hate Rob Manfred. He basically said, I don't want to use the word hate, but it's the best word for what's happening. The union is united. Players are more united than they ever been, but it's by the hatred of the commissioner. And I think that says a lot.
And you know what that means? You know who the commissioner represents?
The owners.
So they've got a hatred of their owners, which is fine. That's part of the deal. But it's just for a sport that is wallowing right now, it's the last thing they need. It is even conversation about labor or work stoppage. Look what the hockey union did. They were a year ahead of time than when they announced their new deal last month or 2 months ago. A year ahead of time. And these people are already talking about a lockout. And there's clearly either a desired lack of understanding or and this would be even worse, a stupid lack of understanding on the part of the players on the advantages of a salary cap and a salary floor for their rank and file. And unfortunately and we've mentioned these numbers before, the 72% of players that are in the bottom half, 10% of the players make 72% of the money. So the other 90% of the players make 28% of the money. I don't think the players have any idea that that's the case. They also don't understand the concept of what revenue sharing and a salary cap does. They don't understand why the typical NFL quarterback on a 53-man roster is making more than almost all of their highest paid players. And that's because Tony Clark and Scott Boras aren't telling them that they could get more with a 50-50 split as a rank and file than they can right now, where the owners are paying 43% of their revenues for salaries for players.
Yeah, and that's why there's two sides of the coin with like the Bryce Harper conversation, because while I respect Bryce Harper a lot for saying you're crossing a line by coming into the locker room and talk about labor relations, there is a process that this goes through, and you coming in to talk to players like this and not using the media, not using the union for its purpose as a middleman between our discussions, is you crossing a line. So I'm going to need you to get out of this locker room. I respect that side of Harper's argument. The other side, as somebody who is one of the halves of baseball, is I don't, and I have a feeling that Harper's argument is that he really doesn't want a salary cap or a floor because he's one of the halves.
He's a Boris guy.
That's one of the that part of Harper's argument I don't have as much respect for, because the bottom line is guys like, let's look at, I don't know, like I was just looking at, because we were talking about him this morning, Andrew Kisner is this year is going into his final year of he has to go to arbitration for his final time this year at 31 years old. As a guy who's in his like 7th year in Major League Baseball, that's insane. So there's guys like Harper. I understand what they're arguing for, where they want their more money, but like arguing the side of control factor for guys who can't make any money for so long in their career. there's so many of those guys that they have to argue from the position of those guys. Like even guys like Brendan Donovan,
there you go,
should not have to be thinking about not being able to cash in until they're 32 years old. That's insane. And so it's not just the revenue sharing aspect of things. It's not just the cap and the floor. It's that you have to start thinking about the middle ground of your union when you talk about all these discussions, and control and years of service have to also be a huge part of this conversation going forward, because these players are getting screwed.
Smooterino with a lazy chat. He says Randy with some lazy both sides takes, but then doesn't explain what he's talking about. So that's kind of lazy. So let's pick it up, Smoot.
He's saying you're carrying water for the billionaires.
Well, no, I actually want the players to make more money. That's what I'm saying. The players should be making at least 50% of the revenue. NFL players make 50% of the revenue, don't they? NBA players make 50% of the revenue. Hockey players make 50% of the revenue. Right now, football players or baseball players are making 43% of the revenue. So I would disagree with the fact that I'm carrying water for the billionaires. I'm just making a point that the players could and should be making more money, but they're catering to the people that are at the very top of the food chain. And those players at the very top of the food chain, they couldn't care less about the people at the bottom part of the food chain for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. And Samuel, how players don't get a fair market contract till their 7th or 8th year, they are past their prime. And that's a huge issue. That's a huge factor in a lot of these problems.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And free agency should probably be after 4 years rather than 6.
I would agree with that, yes.
And arbitration should be at 2 years rather than 3. And minor league free agency. Now, I mean, you have to move players through the system anyway. Rather than cutting them after 3 years, why not give them free agency earlier and allow those players to pursue a career earlier? Because players should be able to, in my opinion, take advantage of their skill sets rather than have their career guided by a group of people who really couldn't care less about them. Bernie is with us. Bernard J. Miklasz of STL Sports Central finished his video today, and there he is. Hello there, Bernie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hello, Pallies, and a lot to talk about on this Friday. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Good to be with you. And we hit on it earlier, and I know that you probably did in your video as well. Your overall take on the Cardinals haul, if you want to call it that, at the trade deadline.
I have no problem with the prospects they acquired, simply because I know that Chaim Bloom, in effect, was deciding which prospects they should go for. And he's got a very skilled touch in that area. And for whatever it's worth, and see, I don't go into these instant judgments of like giving grades, especially with the prospects the Cardinals got, the 6 that they got. I mean, these are all young guys that, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, they're not close to the major leagues. So we're not going to know whether they were worth the trade, whether they were going to be successes or failures. We're not going to know that for 3 years. So what's the point of trying to grade the trade? Mm-hmm. But for whatever it's worth, Baseball America, which I always go to because they've been doing this a long time, prospect evaluation, and they're great at it. There were 94 prospects traded during this deadline period, and Baseball America ranked Jesus Baez, the really good hitter, young hitter, that 20-year-old hitter they got from the Mets. They ranked him number 10 among the 94 traded. I mean, I think that's really good, actually. And, good. You know, with people like my friend Keith Law, who panned the trade, and I respect Keith. He can pan the trade if he wants. Ryan Helsley was a rental. And if this kid, Jesus Baez, becomes a Cardinal and has some good seasons, I'm not saying to be an all-star, but just a good hitter in their lineup, they won the trade. Yeah. Because Ryan Helsley was on the way out and he was never, and so like what? It doesn't take much to win the trade. So I think they did fine there. But, the lingering question I have, and I know you guys have probably talked about it, was there more to be done? Mo even said, yeah, teams were coming on after our left-handed hitters. I'm assuming he meant Donovan and Burleson and Nootbaar, maybe Gorman, who knows? And he just said, unless they were going to blow us away, we were going to trade him. So I have some questions about that. I would like to know what was offered. Pardon me, but I don't trust Mo. I don't know what was offered. And And if we find out later that maybe he could have moved one of those guys for a really outstanding offer, well, then I would be retroactively upset by that. On the other hand, don't we want Chaim Bloom to make those trades anyway?
Yeah.
And he'll have, and the offseason provides a much better opportunity to do so. You're not under the gun. There's no pressure. There's no time clock. You have time to talk with as many teams as you want and explore every option. So in that sense, I like the fact that Chaim Bloom will be making those decisions.
One of the things that did jump out to me from Mozeliak's comments was he talked about how they now have a chance to give some guys some opportunities that they haven't been able to give them, and so hopefully they run with it. So obviously, all the actual chances that were opened up were for pitching prospects.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we see a change in how they handle at-bats for some of the hitters to open up the runway for some of the hitters, considering Mo's comments and the fact that none of the trade actually opened any spot in the lineup?
Well, that's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. And if you guys had talked about that, I'm sorry that I wasn't listening. I was scrambling to get that video in, but I was thinking about it. And, does Nolan Arenado have to play as much? And I'm not disrespecting him, but the reality is the Cardinals had a deal done for him to go to a Houston team, and Mo didn't want to go there Nolan Arenado didn't want to go there because he didn't think the Astros were trying to win. And Dana Brown, their general manager, laid out a plan, said, this is what we're going to do. I know we trade Kyle Tucker, but we had to. Our owners committed. We're going to be very aggressive. You have my word on it. And Arenado didn't believe him, and he turned it down. And that was basically his last chance to get a trade and to, maybe latch on with a winner. He had the authority to do that, and he turned it down. So now the Cardinals are stuck with him for, at least, another year. Is it going to be the full 2 years after this? But they don't have to play him a lot, do they? I mean, his offense is shot. His bat is dead. I'm not going to sit here and be a phony and act like, every time he has a good 4 or 5 days, oh, well, see, he still has it. No, he doesn't. The decline is irreversible offensively. His defense is still really good. But are they obligated to start him? Are they obligated to give him 500 at-bats? I wouldn't think so. So if they want to create opportunities, one way to do it is to play him a lot less and, put Nolan Gorman there when he's back. And I don't, do you guys think I'm being harsh? I think I'm being pragmatic with this.
I wonder, Bernie, and I know that other franchises would do this. I'm willing to go even a little bit further. I think the Cardinals should be at the very least on the edge. It should not be off the table of swallowing the $42 million.
I agree with you. Yep.
Yeah. It not that it should happen because that's a lot of money, but is it going to be worth it? Maybe the thing the Cardinals need to do is look at third base as a portfolio and say, you know what, whether it's Nolan Gorman or JJ Weatherholt or whomever, the guy's making $750, the guy's making $1 million. So we're paying the position $42 million over the next 2 rather than the particular guy.
Randy, you're so right about that. And I'm going to do the Redbird review today. We're going to get started writing it when I'm done with talking with you fine gentlemen. And I'm going to use that because that's absolutely right. And also that, it's not like Bill DeWitt hasn't done something that's similar. I wish I had the figure available. I will get it by the time I write that column. The Cardinals swallowed a bunch of money by offloading Mike Leake to Seattle after that thing went. It wasn't just, well, we'll pick up 10 or 15 million. It was a lot of money. They basically paid for Dexter, 75, 80% of his salary when they traded him to the Angels to open up room for young outfielders before the 21 season. And so they have done the sunken cost thing before. And you raise a good point because, number one, if he's still on the roster, let's just say the full 2 years after this one. Number one, it puts your manager in a terrible position because he's a Hall of Fame player. And he also, has got some clout. in the locker room. And I can't imagine, a Nolan Arenado playing, like 90 games and being told, well, this is what we have to do. Not a good situation. But the other thing is, if you want to create playing time opportunities, that's the one place that's first in line for that. And then number 3, as you just pointed out, it still will be a net positive because, as you said, and it's such a great point, whoever is going to play third base there, Gorman or Weatherholt, I still say Weatherspoon every now and then. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I covered Nick Weatherspoon when he was playing for the Baltimore Bullets. I don't know. But JJ Weatherholt, it might be him. In a couple of years, who knows? It could be Jesus Baez because a lot of scouts think that he's a little bulky, not fat, but bulky. And even though he runs well, he's got a big arm and he'll probably end up at third base. So they've got to think way outside their comfort zone on something like this, because this would be an untenable situation.
Yeah. By the way, since his last home run on June 22nd, Arenado, 25 games, 95 plate appearances, his slash line 200, 242, 244 for a 487 OPS. And that's in 25 games. And year by year, he's gone down. This will be from 23 to 24, he went down, 24 to 25, and 22 to 23. So this is his 4th consecutive year of decline. And Bernie,
Right.
he, as you like to say, he doesn't have any helpers anymore. So he's not going to get any better at the age of 35.
Can I sneak in a gratuitous promotion for DraftKings?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're all in favor of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In my video, I usually give an example of how the Pick Six fantasy works. And so you have the Cardinals tonight at San Diego. Nick Pivetta is on the mound for the Padres. He's allowed 2 home runs in his last 6 starts. Nolan Arenado, first of all, the Cardinals don't hit home runs on the road, not much, and Arenado doesn't either. I went back and checked since late last season. Nolan Arenado has 3 home runs in 244 plate appearances on the road. And so my recommendation was that the line was set at 0.5 homers for Arenado tonight. I said, if it was me, I would go less than that, which means he's not getting a home run. So there you go. See, how about that for
Free money for Bernie.
How's that for synergy?
It's
Well,
perfect.
you know what, Bernie? I'm going to roll with you because one I like to play a lot on those is they always have hits, runs, and RBIs, and it'll be more or less 1.5. Looking at Nolan Arenado, since he hit that home run, I'm seeing 4 instances out of almost 35 where he's had 2 or more hits, runs, and RBIs in a game. So even that one, you can take less than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for Nolan Arenado, and you got a pretty good chance that one's not gonna clear higher than that. It's gonna hit lower.
One more DraftKings thing on this, because it's relevant to the Cardinals. Like every time I look there, most days anyway, and of course, I look in the morning at the numbers, and then the player has to play that night. But again, if you wager on his line, you got to check back later in the day to make sure he's in a lineup. But anyway, or wait until most of the time when they list Pedro Baez, it is 0.5 home runs, and I'm like, DraftKings, I love you, but are you sure you want people to win that much?
Yeah, those are 2 tonight, right?
Right. So anyway,
exactly.
Right.
Hey, Bernie, one thing that I'm wondering is, and this will be a huge job for Chaim Bloom, because the Cardinals, 2022, they drew 3.2 million fans. This year, they're going to draw 2.2 million fans. They're losing 1 million fans over the course of 3 years. Average of $50 a person that walks through the gates. That is $50 million that they had for the 23 season that they aren't going to have for the 26 season. Add in the loss of television revenue, and we're seeing the drop in ratings. We're seeing the drop in attendance. And they only have 5 people to start games for them in the rotation next year, right? It's Sonny Gray, it's Liberatore, it's Michael McGreevy, it's Andre Palante, and it's Kyle Leahy. They got to find 2 or 3 people capable of starting games. And I don't know how they're going to do it unless, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, unless Bill DeWitt is willing to dig into his own wallet a little bit, because I believe them when they tell me our revenues are way down. And I know that there's money coming off the books with the likes of Miklasz and Helsley and Mats and those guys. But Gray goes up. You're going to have to pay Donovan more. I just wonder what the 6th, 7th, and 8th starting pitchers for the Cardinals are going to look like at the beginning of 26.
Randy and Rock, I will be surprised if what I'm about to say turns out to be incorrect. But one of the really good things about John Mozeliak turning down those deals yesterday, even if they were really good offers, is that, as I mentioned, it gives Chaim Bloom a lot of resources to work with. And I am convinced that he will be able to come out of the winter with 1 young major league ready starting pitcher, maybe even 2, if he makes smart deals, because teams are willing to trade those guys. I mean, and I know the Padres are kind of maybe a bad example because AJ Preller, makes 70 trades every deadline, but they gave up 2 young starters, including a highly regarded rookie, plus this kid that pitched against the Cardinals and beat them last Sunday. They traded 2 young starters. Young teams will trade young starters with term. And I trust Chaim Bloom to kind of know what makes sense, who to go after. He made it as the Boston general manager. He made a great trade and gave up very little to get Nick Pivetta for the Red Sox. That's like one example. Mm-hmm. So I really do think he'll listen. They know that this is the top priority. They know that. It's so obvious because you laid it out. And that's got to be his number one objective. So I think he'll come out of the offseason with that, and maybe even 2 of those guys. And maybe Quinn Matthews will be ready to go next year. His difficulties will be behind him. I don't know about Tink Hence, because the longer this goes on, I am convinced that the Cardinals have actually, and the prospect watchers, they've actually created Tink Hence. He doesn't exist.
By me.
Right? Yeah, at this point, I have no reason to doubt that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the pitchers, let's look at the other side of the batter. You
plus Doyle. Wait a minute. Doyle could be ready. He could be ready next season, right? So
yeah,
if they think young and one of them is making a trade for a young starter, major league ready, they could be able to fill it out that way. And I'm not going to say it's perfect. The more pitching, the better. But anyway, go ahead, Rock. I'm sorry.
You wrote in 2 days ago your Redbird review about the struggles of Pedro Pages, and we've gotten a lot of that's been a big thing in the chat lately on STL Sports Central during our show, is people wondering about Pedro Pages. And obviously, we know the rhetoric. The pitchers love working with him. He commands the game. But you pointed out how the catcher ERA is going the wrong way, and the defensive mistakes have kind of popped up a little bit here and there. Do you think there is a kind of like a mesh point where they make a change or have to make a decision behind the plate?
Well, I think it's coming, and it's not just because like they need offense and Yoel Pozo provides it, and it's also they've got like 3 catching prospects down below, and a couple of them are in the top 10. I mean, I think Leonardo Bernal is their 3rd best prospect, and Jimmy Crooks is right behind him. And they got a lot of catchers on the way. Here was my policy on staying with Pages as the catcher, because at the time that I defended Marmol on that, the Cardinals had a top 10 starting pitching ERA in the majors. If you recall, you go back the first couple months, their starting pitching ERA was really, really good. And I'm looking at his catcher ERA, and I'm just saying, listen, this rotation is outperforming what it should be doing. And these pitchers love throwing to this guy. So keep him there. Keep him there. There's no reason to mess with this right now. Well, that rotation fell apart, and it's certainly not his fault. But my point is, if the theory was that he was making those guys better and we got to keep him behind the plate, okay, I'll buy that. They have the worst starting pitching ERA in the major since May the 30th. Okay. So they can't point to that and say, oh, no, we really need him. He makes our guys better. That's out the window now. And his offense is just awful. I mean, just awful. And they can play Pozo there. And what they need to do is also, they need to bring up maybe Jimmy Crooks at some point soon. I really think they should. And again, Jimmy Crooks and Bernal, they're also going to be trade pieces potentially for Chaim Bloom to go get a starting pitcher. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, but Pages can't play. He can't start as much as he has been because whatever effect he had on making that starting rotation better, it's gone. It's no longer operative.
And Bernal, Rodriguez, and Crooks actually 3, 4, and 5 now in the Cardinal rankings for prospects. I just haven't seen enough of Pozo, who actually does have a better, for the course of the season, has a better catcher's ERA than Pages. But the one guy that I know is capable of helping this staff, I know he is Pedro Pages. And I also look at history. I mean, we know that Sonny Gray fades as the temperatures go up. Liberatore has never been through what he's been through in terms of a starting pitcher. Palante has never been through what he's been through before. Fetty, I'm not going to blame that on Pedro Pages.
No.
So I think there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that might apply to the starting pitching being worse that don't include Pedro Pages.
No, I agree with that. It's complicated because there's no like automatic answer on this. The bottom line is the starting pitching they have, even when they were going well, right? There were underlying vulnerabilities that could have exploded on them at any time, and that's exactly what's happened. When you have one guy in your rotation who can strike people out consistently, and even Sonny Gray's strikeout rate's down like 4% this year. His swing and misses down. The ball's going to be in play a lot, and I don't care, how good your defense is, and the Cardinals have a very good defense. Balls in play, they're going to find holes. Your fielders, despite their great efforts, are not going to get to everything. You can't get to every blue pit or every fly ball that's hit straight down the line or whatever. It's just. But and I wish I had the stat available, but I looked it up about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I mean, the Cardinals, the Cardinals were second in the majors in terms of balls in play against their pitchers. And so you're flirting with a disaster. You're flirting with really, really dangerous, poor, unfortunate batted ball luck with so many balls in play.
Bernie, I was stunned by this the other day because I was looking at strikeout rates in Major League Baseball. And Dylan Cease is going to be a free agent this year. He'll command a ton of money, but he's 5th in Major League Baseball with a K rate of 29.9%. Joe Ryan, who didn't get traded yesterday by the Twins, is 7th with a K rate of 28.9. Sitting there, number 6 in K rate in 2025 in Major League Baseball is one Jack Flaherty at 29.7%. Isn't that shocking?
No, because Jack's playing for a contract now. Again.
Well, yeah, I think he has a 2-year deal though.
I don't know if he does or not, but he's still playing for his next contract.
Yeah, he is.
He can opt out. He can opt out after this year. That's what it is. And it's funny how that works. Jack Flaherty pitches well when he's got money on the line. I don't know what that says, but
not only can he opt out, he can opt out of a $10 million player option after making 25 this year. So he'll opt 100% playing. He's 100% pitching for a contract.
The thing with Jack Flaherty, he did have the shoulder problems, but the other thing too, there were some maturity issues and focus issues. And I'm not the old man yelling at clouds, but there were times I'd want to be like a day of a game. And, he's got these elaborate graphic filled posts on Twitter. And it's like, well, okay. Can we get our head in the game a little bit? So But then when whoever his agent is, it's Boris, when I say, Jack, you're going to be a free agent after this year. Let's go. Oh, okay. So anyway, I'm mean.
Speaking of getting their head in the game, another one of your comments from the Redbird Review, and I think a lot of people are and we just talked about how the Brewers are, a fantastic build and something maybe the Cardinals can look forward. You pointed out in your Redbird Review that the Brewers they've been smarter than you, so you finally get a change in the front office. How are the Cardinals, or how do the Cardinals armor themselves better in battle against the Brewers in the Chaim Bloom era?
The Brewers have the smartest front office in baseball. That's why do they have the best record in baseball right now? Okay.
They do.
Their payroll is $113 million. So, and they have won a lot more with a lot less than even some powerful teams that are incredibly well funded. And they're incredibly smart. They find talent that other people don't see. They make value signings that some people never contemplate. They use the international market. They make trades, not just at the deadline, but they make trades at different times of the year. Right after opening day, they got Quinn Priester from the Red Sox for like a compensatory round draft pick. Priester's excellent. He's basically, other than Freddie Peralta, their ace. They just make how about the Andrew Vaughn deal? After what's his name, Cavalli or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Aaron Cavalli. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, no, I want out if I'm not going to be in the right day. And they're like, okay, we'll send you to the White Sox because we have our eye on Andrew Vaughn. Take a look at Andrew Vaughn's number. He was in the minor leagues.
He's slugging 730.
Yeah. See, that's a Brewer move. Randy and Rock, for years and years and years, the Cardinals had the devil magic reputation. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do these guys do it? It's devil magic. You can't just keep doing these things, finding all this gold everywhere. Well, the devil magic is up in Milwaukee. Now, here's the deal. Where have the Cardinals been lacking more than any other area? It's been player development, especially starting pitching. It's completely fallen apart. They've also been lacking in a big way of not spending their money wisely, wasting way too much payroll on bad decisions. So the one thing that Chaim Bloom's already doing is restoring that player development system. It's not just him; it's the people he's hired. Like the Cardinals are going to be really strong in this area in a relatively short time after being terrible in this area. And the other thing about Bloom, him coming through the Tampa Bay model and all this, and in Boston, he threw some money around. That's because the owners this is Boston. This is Boston. We spend money here, that kind of thing. He never was allowed to independently, run that organization. So anyway, Chaim Bloom will spend money shrewdly. He will not be incinerating payroll dollars on lost causes. Yeah. Chaim Bloom, I'll put it to you this way. Chaim Bloom will not give 2 contract extensions to Miles Miklasz, okay? Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Stuff good. Like that, right?
Yeah.
He won't do that. So they're going to be a lot smarter just by him being there. And I'm not saying he's going to be, Branch Rickey. I'm just saying the Cardinals, more than anything, in sort of this race with the Brewers, especially the Brewers, who embarrassed the Cardinals and the Cubs, frankly, he is going to close the IQ gap. And they really need to close the IQ gap because the Cardinals, from a baseball operation standpoint, have been terribly run for quite a while now. And go ahead. Sorry.
And what's amazing when you think about the Brewers, we talk about them having the smartest front office. Well, they were really smart for 13 years under Doug Melvin. He retires in 2015. They're really smart for 5 more years under David Stearns, and he leaves in 2020. And they've been smart ever since with Matt Arnold as their GM. Managers, really smart with Ron Renicky, who managed against the Cardinals in the 2011 NLCS. Really smart under Craig Counsell and really smart under Pat Murphy. So there must be somebody else there, right, and we got to find who the kind of common denominator is that makes it all work for the Brewers. I don't know if it's Mark Adonasio, their owner, but They seem to always have smart, and it's not just one smart person. It's not a consistent common denominator. It seems like they have multiple smart people throughout that organization.
Well, I'll give you something that ties it home to St. Louis. When Jeff Luhnow went to the Astros, and Jeff Luhnow, brilliant at what he does. I'm not saying he's the world's best human being, but brilliant at what he does as far as player development. Just brilliant. He doesn't work by himself. He believes, I have to have a very large staff of assistants because we go really, really deep into stuff as far as analytics and also just spotting player trends and identifying quality aspects that other teams are missing or whatever. And so one of the guys he took with him, he wasn't in St. Louis. I apologize. Mike Elias was, who's now the Orioles guy. But Jeff Luhnow hired David Stearns. And then David Stearns hired Matt Arnold. And they were both there in Houston with Jeff Luhnow. And then Stearns goes to Milwaukee. He runs it. He brings Matt Arnold there to be his number 2. Then Stearns leaves, he's a great executive, but it doesn't matter because Arnold was ready for the job and ready to just continue what he had learned under Luhnow in Houston and Stearns in Milwaukee. So brains are really important. It isn't. I know. I say this all the time, and I know people are sick of me whining about it. I have a real problem. I call them the single issue voters in the Cardinals fan base. Payroll. That's all they talk about. And yet, whenever I ask them, well, why is it that the Milwaukee Brewers have kicked their ass since 2017, even though the Cardinals have spent $700 million more in payroll? So in other words, I used to say to them, and I still do, even though Mo's basically gone, it's like, so you want John Mozeliak to waste more money, do you? Oh, that's the answer. That's going to solve everything. Now, when Chaim Bloom gets the player development thing restored and they have a good flow of prospects coming to the majors, which means payroll efficiency, that's when the DeWitts will have to step up and raise the payroll, and they're going to have to spend money on pitching or whatever they need. See, that's the beauty of having payroll efficiency, which some people just don't understand. It keeps your costs down when you have cost-controlled players coming up through your system and making cheap money until they can become free agents. That gives you so much room to go out and spend and cherry pick to find what you need. So I see that coming in the Cardinals' future. And listen, Randy and Rock, I would have to think by now the DeWitts have learned their lesson.
No doubt. Yeah.
I checked this morning. The Cardinals are now 18th in average tickets sold per game. Go to ESPN, the MLB attendance. There are only 4 teams in the National League who have sold an average tickets who are below the Cardinals in average tickets sold per home team. Only 4 National League teams. The Cardinals, as you guys know, for years and years and years and years and years, every time you would look up, they're right up there with the Dodgers in attendance, the Yankees in attendance. They were drawing more every year than the Mets in attendance. And now they're drawing fewer fans per game to paid tickets than the Colorado Rockies. What?
Unreal.
Do you think they've learned their lesson? Because you're a longtime Bill DeWitt watcher, and Bill DeWitt, the third's part of this. Do you think they finally get it now? The message, the message has been sent by their fans.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that message has been heard loud and clear. And what I've been told from people in the front office, they're self-aware enough to realize that, hey, it took us multiple years to lose the trust of the fans, and it's going to take us multiple years to gain the trust of the fans back. I've heard that from people a person in the organization. So I think that's big. Bernie, before we let you go, I don't want to take anything away from, we respect Mike Schultz's ability to handle a bullpen. It sure is a lot easier to handle a bullpen when you just can't make a mistake, though, right? They get Miller. He can't make a mistake with his bullpen this weekend, can he?
I mean, they have so many great relievers that I like. If you were going to give me a pop quiz, I'd fail it. I couldn't name half of them. Suarez is great. Who else they have? I got to cheat. Let me get to my cheat sheet here. You talk about a murderer's row of relievers, and that's why another reason why Nolan Arenado at 0.5 homers, the under works pretty well, because it ain't just Pivetta, it's the bullpen, right?
There's no doubt. They've got a group. The whole group seems to be under 2 in terms of earned run average.
Suarez and Mason Miller's not even going to be the closer. Suarez, right. Mason Miller, Jason Adam, Adrian Marjon, Estrada, David Morgan, Wandy Peralta, a couple other guys. Matsui's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it is just as deep as could be. Just as deep as could be. And Jason Adams terrific too.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. And I know that they've got some issues with their rotation, but with that bullpen and with Machado and Tatis and the lineup that they put together, Arise is terrific. I wouldn't be surprised if they chase down the Dodgers. Not at all.
I think they can. And Randy and Rock, the thing about this postseason, the thing about this trade deadline that's really so fascinating to me is that I think all managers, well, general managers, president of baseball ops, whatever, they understand you have to have a great bullpen to win the World Series. And you just have to have, it used to be you'd have you have a good setup man or two and a good closer, but now, you better have a lot of weapons in the arsenal that are just strikeout guys and just can blow people away. And you can extend the game that way because you can front load your bullpen in the postseason games. In fact, I think last year, it might have even been the year before as well, the bullpen worked more innings. The bullpens worked more innings in the postseason than starting pitchers did.
Yep.
And so the Padres, the Yankees, the Mets, who else just loaded up on bullpen?
I think those are the big ones. The
Phillies, Phillies got their guy.
Yeah, the Phillies, they needed even more. But they did a really good job. And the Dodgers didn't get anybody. Well, anybody of note. So
bodies.
One other thing about this, there's a great analyst named Neil Payne. I subscribe to his Substack because he comes up with incredible numbers, and great guy too. It was like last night, late at night, he had a Substack about the incredible importance and the emphasis on relief pitching for teams that have championship aspirations. And this is a little convoluted, but it makes sense. He was shocked by when he added up the teams that acquired players, right? The teams that acquired players at this deadline, like the overall wins above replacement of all those players and all that went to new teams. The relief market, the relievers that were acquired in this trade marketplace represented 26% of the total wins above replacement that exchanged hands. And no other position group was more than 13% or something. So the teams are going all out to just go ballistic by trying to be ballistic with power arm bullpens.
Yep. Great stuff, Bernard. Have a great weekend, sir.
I love you guys. You all have a great weekend as well.
You too. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, Bernie.
You want to watch Bernie's video, The Bernie Show, and you want to check out all the great work he does at stlsportscentral.com. It is remarkable.
The main reason you want to watch Bernie's video is so that you're not left out when you go to dinner with some friends, because Bernie's videos absolutely just destroy on STL Sports Central. His view counts are crazy because he's killing it. The honesty, the knowledge, you're just not getting anywhere better than when Bernie Miklasz on STL Sports Central.
And you're not getting anything better than our friends at DraftKings Pick 6, and nothing will beat a relaxing weekend more than the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's really easy. All you have to do is pick more or less for 2 or more of your favorite players up to 6, and you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Pick 6 available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6. And right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code, that one right there, STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with your first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings, where The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
You going to stay up late and watch the Cardinals tonight?
I will be staying up late to watch the Cardinals tonight. No City game this weekend, as you correctly pointed out, because you're a savant when it comes to the City schedule. So we'll stay up late to watch the Cardinals get blanked again. It'll be fun.
No, they're going to get blanked.
Sorry, they're going to get shut out. Not any other thing you think I was trying to say there.
Okay, they'll score a run or two.
By the way, I want to give some quick credit. Skywalker, I always forget the numbers, but Skywalker always in our chat jumped in and pointed out that yes, Matt Arnold and Chaim Bloom did work together with Tampa Bay. Arnold was there till 2015. Chaim worked there from 2005 to 2019. So the battle of wits in the NL Central will be a one that they've been through before with Arnold and Chaim. Who can bring the most Tampa Bay Rays winning while not spending a lot of money to the NL Central? We'll see.
Let's see if Pittsburgh can get in on that mix too.
No, you have to win while also not spending money.
Oh, okay. That's not going to happen then. Great job, sir, as always.
You as well. Great week.
Won the only match.
Incredible week. Thank you so much, everybody. This week was incredible on STL Sports Central. All the trade deadline stuff was fantastic. You guys helped make it happen with all your comments and chats. When you share the videos, when you like and subscribe to YouTube. So if you haven't done that, please do it. And if you have done it and you keep doing it, thank you so much.
Yep. And we'll be back at it on Monday. Thanks to Wilson for getting us going here. And we will see you on Monday at 10:04 here on STL Sports Central.